members and students. Circular economy has been of interest to me for the last several years. Not exactly my field because I have been a pollutant all my life. So I've been a pollutant all my life, manufacturing specialty chemicals, adhesives and sealants. And always wondered where all these thermoplastics and all these resins that we manufactured, where they would be ending up at the end of the day. Even batches that we somehow had to discard due to whatever reason, first went into landfills which we had in our own premises, and then they were outsourced. So at times I used to ask these people who used to come to take the material where they were dumping all this. I got no good answers, but some years back in fact, I was traveling around Gazipur in Delhi and I saw this great landfill which was 200 feet high. So that gave me my answer that where all this trash was going. So while there's no one-to-one comparison as such, but say a country like Sweden, they just send 1% of their trash to landfills. 47% is converted to energy and about 52% is recycled. As compared to that, in our case, about 45% is going to landfills. So that's the gap that is there. So in my 2.0 journey, so that's the Gazipur landfill, just for an idea. Now in my 2.0 journey, I got to meet and hear promoters who are doing phenomenal work in trying to save the planet while building personal wealth, which is being labeled as circular economy and only sustainable way to take things forward. As philanthropy or good intentions have limitations, it cannot be scaled up, whether in the field of environment, health, or education. The only survival option is to build technology to recycle, work on the premise that it is not waste till not wasted. Circular economy has gone beyond recycling. It is now recycle, refurbish, salvage and reuse. While the problems and challenges are well known and well documented, it is very encouraging to know that a lot of companies have risen to the challenge and doing amazing work to make a difference. When the environment can take the load of our requirements, can be got from the fact that 110 billion tons of material is being used by humanity world over. Out of this, only about 11% is recycled and 89% we are extracting from the core of the earth. So how sustainable this is anyone's guess. I got even more interested in this field when I met a alumni from IIT Kanpur some time back. And he is doing amazing work on carbon capture using microalgae. And then a lot of value-added products are being produced. So this environment-friendly approach not only mitigates greenhouse gas emission at scale, but also showcases the potential of nature-based solutions in combating climate change. They are successfully working on developing the right strains of algae and in the process generating biomass that can be converted to fertilizers, fish and poultry feed, biofuels, nutraceuticals and replacement to carbon black. A great example of circular economy where pollutants are getting extracted and products of high value can be potentially produced. Extension of this work is being used to make air purification systems for indoor applications, that is more for industrial, but more for indoor applications in offices and hospitals. creating panels on which microalgae grow, removes airborne pollutants and releases oxygen. Now, something like 40 billion tons of carbon dioxide is being produced annually, and in case whatever efforts companies like these are making can bear fruit, I'm sure that there can be some hope for the next generation. It's always easier to explain concepts to an audience when someone talks of gold. In fact, there was a lady sitting here, and I was having a discussion before the talk started, and it started with all sorts of recycling, and very soon the conversation turned to gold. So it so happens that we are extracting about 3,000 tons of gold per annum from the Earth's crust. And there are only about 57,000 tons of extractable gold that can be extracted. So we talk about something like 17 years more to go before all the gold finishes, all the extractable gold finishes. Now, if you compare this with something like from 1 million mobile phones, you can get 24 kgs of gold. Whereas for 1 kg of gold, you have to mine, extract, purify something like 80 tons of ore. So that's the sort of opportunity that is there. But of course, technologies have to develop, and more thought has to come in this area, which as of now is missing. So we'll first talk of some new age unlisted companies that are doing great work in the area of circular economy. Actero has a plant in Roorkee. They work on 22 metals. So that's some recycling on PCBs to get gold. They work on 22 metals, getting to 99% purity, largest recycler of electronic waste in India, and most advanced recycler of lithium-ion batteries in the world. Lithium-ion battery has critical metals like nickel, cobalt, manganese, graphite, etc. Only company in the world extracting all these metals and manufacturing new batteries from extracted material and exporting. They have a D2C waste take-back platform called CellSmart, which gives vouchers in exchange of discarded electronic items. Also initiates awareness and incentivizes reverse flow. Another unlisted company, Pegasus, does asset verification to evaluate if there is any life left in appliances. What is identified as refurbishable gets done, functionally repaired, and given to tier 2 and 3 cities. Essentially, they try to extend the life of what cannot be refurbished. They salvage the parts and offer to service market. They use them as appliances that are out of warranty. For material identification, as several items are clubbed together. They've created a domain-specific model to create a reverse bomb, find out breakup of materials, make it back to raw material that can be used again. Sahas Zero Waste is another unlisted company, one of the few companies working on textile-based management and creating value. The challenge of textile waste can be estimated from the fact that 2,000 liters of water is required to produce one cotton shirt. India generates 8 million tons of textile waste annually and growing because of fast fashion and discarded home textiles. These mostly land up in landfills. Chemicals, dyes and microplastics seep into water and soil, entering the food chain, affecting human and animal health. To create value out of waste, the company has built in-house knowledge on textiles, chemicals, dyes and processes. Several engineers from these fields are working to find solutions to varied problems. In all of these appliances, a lot of reverse logistics plays a major role, as it is 10 times more expensive. 10 times more expensive than forward logistics. Challenges are that systems are required to be developed to formulate the reverse movement. So that is Pegasus, that is Cerebra Green, that is SARS Zero Waste. So while above was startups doing something new and offbeat, proof of creating amazing valuation and wealth creation from recycling comes from the likes of players who have built great business models as well as creating awareness among manufacturers of extended producer responsibility. Let us review a few from different areas. Companies are growing and building strength on recycling metal, plastic, water, e-waste and rubber. Metal recycling becomes important due to surge in auto industry and government push to vehicle scrappage policy and using 20% recycled material by 2027. Aluminum, copper, zinc, lead, iron and steel, etc. can be extracted. Also because of higher EV sales, there is very high potential of recycling lithium-ion batteries. Leading player in this field is Gravita India with a 15,000 crore market cap, followed by Pondy Oxide. So that's Gravita India, one of the plants. As far as plastic recycling is concerned, 400 million tons of plastic waste is generated per annum globally. Less than 10% is recycled. Indian government has issued a mandate to use at least 30% recycled PET in new PET bottles, which has made a substantial difference. Leading player in this field is Ganesha Ecosphere, a company that has started from Kanpur, using waste PET bottles to make yarn, PET chips, etc. So that is one of their plants. They have about 6-7 plants all over here. Water recycling involves treatment by installing sewage treatment plants, water desalination, zero liquid discharge, etc. Big commercial opportunities come from semiconductor industry requiring ultra pure water apart from green hydrogen, which is fuel of the future. Top listed companies are Praj Industries, Vatik, Vavak, EMS, etc. Less than 10% of e-waste is recycled in India. Main player is Eco Recycling, offering end-to-end solutions of reverse logistics, data destruction to precious metal recovery. They serve clients in 120 countries with a capacity of 500,000 tons. So that's Vatik, Vavak, Namo e-waste. Namo e-waste has developed amazing capabilities in reverse logistics, having a fleet of vehicles and making channel partners who are given training and knowledge on how to handle logistics base. Rubber recycling again has great potential. Prominent in the field is Tina Rubber, specializing in recycling waste tires into downstream value-added products like polymer modified bitumen, synthetic emulsions, ceramic foam filters, heat shrink compounds, utilizing technology for qualitative services and business efficiency. Other companies like GRP Limited and Ecowork work in niche areas of rubber recycling, upscaling to recovery of polyamide and nylon waste from polymer composite materials. Finally, we come to areas related to sectoral recycling, like municipal waste, medical waste, etc. Municipalities struggle to manage waste generated, leading to organized players taking the challenge. Antony Waste, which has largest single location waste processing plant in Asia, provides complete spectrum to requirements ranging from collection, transportation, processing and disposal of waste. A2Z is a full stack EPC company which gives a significant edge, specializing in waste to energy technologies. The company installed Asia's largest integrated resource recovery facility in Kanpur, but somehow they've run into problems as of now. So all this looks interesting. A lot of unlisted companies, listed companies have come up in this field. Very interestingly, I got interested about 4 or 5 years back, just after COVID, and figures speak for themselves. And uh, as luck would have it, made small investments in some of these companies directly or indirectly. And in the last 4 to 5 years, the returns have been anywhere between say 200% to 800%. Now, that's one positive side of it. The negative side of the whole thing is that people who are living in the vicinity of these landfills, as per reports, their uh, uh, the median age of an Indian male today is about 69 years. Their life expectancy shrinks by almost 15 years or so, in case they are staying within 1 kilometer of vicinity of these landfills. That is the most unfortunate part. Now, considering the fact that there is so much wealth that can be generated, in case a serious effort is done to do something to recycle and reuse and create wealth out of this whole business, uh, can be estimated from this. So India's circular economy can be $2 trillion by 2050, creating 10 million jobs, and is critical to sustainable growth, considering India produces 70 million tons of waste annually at present, which is expected to grow at 7% per annum. In case we want to be Viksit Bharat as planned, this is an opportunity we should not miss. Develop technology and systems to utilize waste and be a global player in a field which has immense potential. Government needs to work on simplifying rules and regulations, bring transparency, and start a nationwide public awareness campaign related to waste disposal and recycling, and invest in waste to wealth mission. So that is the medical waste. Now, beyond environment and economy, what is much more important? That India needs to scale up, as there are 17 rare earth elements. China controls 90% of separation and refining capacity of these in the world. They have also invested in the future and bought mines in Myanmar, Russia, Vietnam, and Africa. Rare earths are used in critical areas like electronics, clean energy, defense, medical technology, all futuristic sectors. India has, as of now, missed the bus as far as mines and production technology is concerned. We can still keep our foot in the door if we can develop technology and build scale to recover whatever we can from about 70 million tons of waste. Else our EV, aerospace, solar and defense industries will be running on China's mercy. Thank you.